Yo. Yo. Yeah, okay, you guys. What is up? The King of Lightning is here today to do Magi, The Labyrinth of Magic, Chapter 219 review. Once again, that is 219 of all Magi. The window is open. It's a lot of light. Who cares? Alright, listen. What I want you guys to do is go to whatever site you use to read, whatever scanlation you use to read the chapter. Go on that site, because this one I think is going to be a little bit of a read-along. And normally I don't do this, but I had to actually open some tabs here because I need to keep note of a few things. Because Solomon just, the word impressive doesn't even define what he just did. Because within the confounds of magic, within the series so far, I have never seen magic this disgusting in the entire series thus far, until Solomon himself comes out of nowhere. This, yo. Alright. But before then, I do want to say, if you haven't seen the video where the winner, because you don't see the PS4 anymore, it's gone. Someone has won the PS4, and that video is going to be right here if you're interested in seeing that. Now, that being said, first of all, we get to see what the powers are when it involves the main group. First of all, Wahid, he does some fire stuff, which is kind of cool. Then we have Isnan doing the lightning. We have Falon. She does some weird, maybe it's wind, I don't know. I don't think so. But she does something where she's able to control some of the ships and make them crash. Then we have Seta. Seta does an ice dragon, wherein which Arba, she does a version of strength magic with her staff. And then she just brings us down, and the ships that were covered over with ice were destroyed. So Seta and Arba do a team thing. So that was pretty cool. And I must point out that the way the art, because the art is all over the place. It's really good visually, but at the same time, sometimes it's pretty bad. So it's very, for example, when it came to the flashback, Ugo has a miniature flashback of him meeting Solomon. And it was really poorly drawn. It was really bad. So, it was on some Togashi status when it came to artwork. So the artwork varies, but overall, it was visually appealing. And there was one scene where, okay, no, it was Wahid. Wahid, I was stuck on whether he was doing fire magic or water magic. I couldn't really tell. I'm what is that? Is that fire? Is that water? What's going on there? So, I mean, I chose fire because I think fire matches his personality better, but I can't really tell if it's fire or water, to be quite honest. And plus, Seta has the ice already, so I think I'll go with fire in that case right there. And then now we see why, of course, Arba, she's all about working out, and then Wahid's her sparring buddy, because she has the strength magic and he has the fire magic, so he's the hothead and she's the muscle girl. Fair enough. Now, we have this situation here, okay? So here's where we're gonna pick off with this mock read-along, okay? Because basically we have this guy, all right? And this guy has scars. I'm assuming that he's the leader of this fleet, and he's talking about this. Well, first of all, he says, and I quote verbatim: "Receiving all of that magic without the controlling device in the tower is equivalent to suicide." So because of the fact that they use up, because again, these divine staves are getting magic directly from the god, Elah. And he's noting that because you're having so much magoi being pumped to your body by a would-be god, wherever it is, it's gonna wind up being the death of you. And the towers actually help disperse that magic, which may be the key reason why. if you go back to the flashbacks of the people of mainly Sheba, but also the smaller panels of Fallen and Wahid and those guys, when they were in that room, there was a barrier around them, and also there were like these weird tree these weird tree branches like coming out of their bodies, like protruding out of their bodies. So that actually may have to do with something along the lines of dispersing the Magoi so they can stay alive a lot longer. So, but that's my thoughts right there on that. But then he continues and he says, I wonder how long you will be able to make your third eye shine like that. So, and this is something that I've always noticed. I'm pretty sure that you guys have also noticed it as well. Where in which, when it comes to the Jinn, they always have like a third eye right here. And this third eye, of course, ties to the god Elah, because they have the divine staves. And of course, the divine staves, they are the ones who get Magoi directly from Elah. Now, the thing here, of course, is that the third eye may actually be the eye of Elah itself. I don't know. Something along those lines. Maybe it's like a direct connection to Elah, where they gain an abnormal amount of Magoi, and the conduit of that Magoi, the conduit, is going to be their staves, the divine staves. So, like, those things tie together, the divine staves and the third eye. That's very obvious. Well, mainly Elah, the divine staves, and the third eye. And now we know along the lines, when it comes to the third eyes in the Jinn, they probably go along the same lines, but what, aside from Elah, or as opposed to Elah, it's going to be Solomon, because Solomon is the god of the current world. Now let's continue. Basically, after this, what we see here is that some of the magicians, they're going to attack Momo, and then Sheba, she steps in there, and notice how Sheba's third eye, it's black, or well, at this point in time, it appears to be black, but I think that if that may have been like either it means something in the sense that, you know, like she is tied to a different god, Elah, or well, again, we're not too sure about the whole reason why her eye seems to be black at some point in time. But let's move on. The thing here is that, of course, she begs, you know, someone to save Momo, because Momo was being attacked by the Darth Vader ship, Star Wars fleets, and what happens is Solomon pulls out the what the fucks. He pulls out the what the fucks. Okay, so they fire a phaser, right? And I don't know what it is actually, but they fire a phaser. Then all of a sudden, like a three-dimensional grid appears out of nowhere. A three-dimensional grid appears out of nowhere. And then the attack that was being fired at Momo and Sheba gets like absorbed by the three-dimensional grid. And then it goes right back at the ship. So immediately, I'm thinking, yo, this is some space-time stuff right now. That's what I'm thinking immediately. But I'm so wrong, because it's not space-time. It's something else that it's kind of... Well, no. I'm not too sure if it's more hacks, but here's the thing. The grid, bro. I'm like, what is that? So, let's continue. When it comes to... Okay, so basically, after that part, alright, the phasers get fired back at the ship. The ship goes down. And the guy with the... you know, like the leader of the fleet, he's like, what's that? Like, what's going on there? And then Solomon explains, he's talking to Ugo apparently, because Ugo's just chilling right there. And he says, and I can't say and I quote, because I'm going to actually like butcher the name, but I'm going to use the translation on the side of the panel, because I'm reading from a site that's actually pretty good translation-wise. So basically what they have here is this. Well, Solomon says this, Ugo, your magic theory you devised is incredible. The different, and I don't know the word, but the translation is powers. The different powers in this world flow into fixed, and I think the word here is rails, but that translates to ley lines. Ley lines. And I'm like, wait, what? Like, so let me put that translation into the actual quote. Ugo, the magic theory you devise is incredible. The different powers in this world flow into fixed ley lines, I was able to get them to do whatever I wanted. And then, of course, in that same panel, you see Ugo and Solomon first meeting. And again, a very poorly drawn, Togashi 101 over here. Jesus. But here's the main point. What he's doing, power-wise, it's not space-time. And then, I think at the end of the chapter, and we'll get to that, or towards the end of the chapter, Shiba mentioned how he can control he controls something. Hold on, like, what did she say? Hold on, like, let me quote her verbatim here, because Shiba says it. Yeah, it's incredible. Yeah, because Shiba says this. Incredible, it's like he's a god. I've never seen magic like that. He can manipulate the very fabric of this world, and nothing can get close to him. Now, the thing here is that it's not exactly the case, but what he's doing is... Okay, so because my knowledge of ley lines is limited at best, so I am very ignorant when it comes to ley lines. Very ignorant. However, I do know that I kind of know that they tie into the certain geomagnetic points within the planet, or on the planet, that have certain connections. Like on planet Earth, like for example, like there are certain points in, there are certain spots on planet Earth that have like the same geomagnetic frequency as like another point, and like these two points can be like connected through those same frequencies. It kind of ties into the pyramids and the Bermuda Triangle and, you know, that kind of stuff. How, like, I mean, if you have ever seen Ancient Aliens, because I've seen it before, it's intriguing to say the least. But like the whole theory of how Ancient Aliens, how like a lot of these civilizations, like they just so happened to actually put their cities and their monuments within these spots that have this certain geomagnetic frequency, and they're connected like all over the world, like South America, Africa, and so on and so forth. So the thing here, and if you hear that's my laundry, so if you hear that, ignore it. The thing is that I'm not too sure how this actually ties into, apparently Solomon can control these ley lines that exist within their world. But what's fascinating is that we see their world at some point in time, and it's really freaking small. Like their world, their planet is so small. I'm like, what? Like it's King Kai's planet, and I'll get to that real soon. But because he's able to control these ley lines, in the sense of what Shiba said towards the end of the chapter, Solomon can kind of control all the aspects that make up the world. So, let's continue here. After that, a few of the ships rush at Solomon. Solomon does this thing called thrust reaction, where it's like there's some kind of like frequency or pulse, and like we see him and like a huge span of ley lines. And then two of the ships that he said thrust, they get sent flying back. Like they get pummeled back. And then he says gravity reaction. Alright, and again, something, okay, and I'm going to butcher it, but he says Dorf Sabaha. Alright, again, I butchered that. I understand it. I did. But basically, he goes like, he pulls a nap, he goes like this. And the two ships that he was controlling, they get sent flying sky high, beyond sky high, into the outer layers of the planet in like an instant. We're talking about, I can't say what layers, because what's fascinating is that when you actually go to the picture where you see the two ships being sent, like, or two or three ships being sent, like, out of the planet, you see how, like, there's, like, a certain range. Like, we see the planet itself, and we see the continents. And, of course, underneath the continents, it's all black. But you can see continents from that far out. It's like, it seems so small, planet-wise. I'm not joking. It seems very small. Very small. But then we see the ships, they get sent out, and we see like a certain atmosphere, like where the ships are. Like it's very strange. It really is. And then we see like a few stars in the distance, whatever. And then after that, he says gravity accumulation. So first he went to gravity reaction, and then he went up. Then and then the ships go up. Then he goes gravity accumulation, then he goes down. And then the ships come crashing back down, and we see like this massive grid of ley lines from space, and I'm like, dude. So I'm sitting here, I'm like, yo, Solomon. If you take into consideration the whole aspect of ley lines, and again, I'm gonna tell you right now, I am very ignorant of ley lines. I am. But if you take into consideration the aspect of controlling the foundations of the world, he clearly manipulated gravity to the point where either A, he removed the ships from the planet's own gravity. So since planets normally circle around the sun, he said, no, you're not a part of that, get out of here. And the ships were literally thrown out of orbit due to the planet's own movement, the planet's own velocity. But then he accumulates all the gravity back into one certain area, which is why you see the ley line grid is like sweeping in, and then these ships that were all of a sudden out on like the outer layers of the planet come crashing back down in an instant. So I'm sitting here, I'm like, yo, I've never seen that in any manga. I've never seen that in any, that's insane. He's controlling ley line, and he's just, I don't know, but it's nuts, and I like it. So the reason why I did this kind of read along was because I'm trying to get a grasp of what Solomon can do. And Solomon right now, he's just a kid. He's just a kid who took it to teaching what Ugo had taught him. And though Ugo can't do it, he can do it. Because he has so much manboy. And he's disgusting as a kid. As a kid, he's this nasty. So, I mean, I don't know if he can control other aspects outside of their world. But at this point in time, this kid is disgusting. Solomon is a freaking monster. He's hacks. He's hacks up the wazoo. Holy hell! The freaking ley line. Yo, alright. And then, so we end this off with pretty much, again, like, he's like a god. And then, so, like, this guy, again, very powerful, very, very powerful. They're gonna go for the main ship to take out the actual mind control device. And then, I need to point out that the actual main guy, like, the main leader of the fleet, this guy is not worried. After seeing Solomon, you would assume that you'd be very, very worried, considering what he just pulled. But I'm worried that this guy isn't worried. I'm like, dude, why are you still going on like this? Like, as if like this is like a game to you. No, like you should be hauling ass. You should be turning about face and going in the opposite direction. Like, yo, we out. Deuces. Peace. Sayonara. Auf Wiedersehen. So, apparently he's still here. He's still chilling. And the chapter ends off about revealing who Solomon and Ugo are. Alright? And I'm not even gonna bother. Because Ugo's name is retarded. Ugo's name is retarded. And I know that's the wrong word to use. That's not politically correct. That's not politically correct. I understand that. But I don't care. His name, for the third and last time, is retarded. It's like, no, I'm not going to try. But we find out that apparently Ugo, he is the most prodigious constructor of magic theories since the foundation of the Magic Orthodox. Which is why, again, he makes like a mountain dragon like thing where it's being controlled by lightning magic. So, very intelligent, obviously. And we find out that Solomon is technically the prince of the Magic Orthodox. Basically, his last name, it's Solomon, middle name, Abraham, son of the elder David something Abraham, who is the first senator in the Orthodox Council of Elders and the leader of us magicians. So, his father is pretty much king, and he is a prince. Let's simplify it. So, that being said, it was kind of obvious as to Solon being high up in position. Because when we have Arba, she says how she served Solomon as if like Solon was some kind of knight, or not a knight, but you know, someone of a very high stature. And it was very obvious in Arba's words. So Arba may have been an actual servant before she was taken in by, before she was sent over to the towers, and then later on saved by Solomon. But either way, the thing here is this. We now know that Solomon, in fact, is someone of higher stature. We know that Ugo actually was also someone of higher stature, somewhat kind of, because again, he was someone who, Ugo was someone who was very prominent when it came to his construction of magic items and so on and so forth. And finally, the power of Solomon. The power. So, that being said, the chapter rating is going to be yo. Well, no, I'm going to give it amazing. I'm going to bump it. Who's calling? Okay. I am going to bump it down. Because, again, there are some parts of the chapter where the artwork was like, ooh. Ooh, 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 ooh. So, because of that reason alone, I'll give it an amazing. But it's still, like, a very damn good rating, to say the least. So, that being said, I'm done. The chapter rating is going to be amazing. King of Lightning. And then also, I need to point out, too, that because sometimes the artwork was ooh, like, because there was so many, like, different, like, first it would be like, holy crap, like, this is amazing. Then it'd be like, what the hell's happening? Like, what is this? Like, some third grade stuff. Because of that reason, and, like, the difference of, like, contrast and levels between artworks, or between panels, I should say, the structure of the chapter seemed chaotic. The structure of the chapter was chaotic. It really was. I'm not denying that. So I'm just pointing that out. But the chapter rating overall is still amazing. And I will see you guys later. Be sure, of course, rate the video, comment, subscribe. Peace. Have a nice day.